Marex just launched the most important boat in its history, and in this video I'm going to explain why. This is the brand new Marex 390 and we and you are seeing it before anybody else because we're testing it a day before its world premiere at the Cannes Boat Show. And this is a sweet spot boat for Marex, inspired by the flagship 440. It condenses that down to a more manageable 12-metre platform. And later on in this review I'm going to head out there and see what it's like to drive. But before that, let's have a full tour and see what tricks Marex has up its sleeve with this one. I'm Jack Haines, welcome to YachtBuyer. With a length overall of 12 metres and a beam of 3.73 metres, the 390 slots neatly into the Marex range between the 375 and 440 flagship. It's available exclusively with Volvo Penta engines, though you can choose between V-drive shafts or stern drives. For those with an eye on the shallows, the 1 metre draft with the stern drives will likely appeal, and a folding mast means the boat's air draft, or height, is 3.1 metres. Did someone say great loop? What about the price? Well, for a boat specified to a similar level as this one here, with options such as the smart canopy system, air conditioning, a generator and Humphrey trim control, you'll be looking at around €660,000. And if you want to compare the 390 not only to its rivals such as the Aquador 400 but to other boats within the Marex range, head to yachtbuyer.com where you can use our head-to-head tool to compare data, photos and deck plans side by side. Right, let's get on with the tour. Right, starting down here on the bathing platform, we expect practicality when we step on board a Marex, and we'll get onto that because there's loads of clever stuff going on back here. But what it is also now is a living area. It's a simple thing, but just having this little table here in an anchorage like we are now, this is where you want to be. Yes, you've got all this seating down here, but there's something about sitting at the back of the boat, in touch with the water, looking out over the water. Of course, if people are swimming and enjoying the water, then you're still in contact, but you're not necessarily getting wet. It just makes sense to have this here. And this will stow away, well, down here within the locker that it's on, but it will fit in most of these lockers as well. So you can just put it away when you want to get on the move. So that's a really simple but nice addition. You haven't got the option to have a hydraulic bathing platform. They've got to save some things for the 440 to make you buy that boat. So this is a fixed platform only. There's a huge locker down here that you could potentially get a deflated tender in, certainly some paddle boards, really nice amount of storage within the platform itself. It would be nice to have another hatch in there actually to give you access to the stern drives so that you can get to those more easily when you're out on the water. Again, there's another good, really big deep storage void down here. Next to that you have your boarding ladder as well. It's all nice and chunky. You know, you've got cleats down here and up on the top as well, so that gives you plenty of versatility depending on the type of mooring you're in. And all of this seating that I've just been sitting on is all storage, and big storage as well. Pops open on the gas ram. You got, no, these are sizable fenders, but they can all go right in there, upright. They're really deep in the corners. You can stow those away really nicely. You've also got the hose down there on an auto reel, so that's all plumbed in. You don't have to faff around plugging in a hose every single time. Little things as well, like having rope blockers here in the top of the deck, just where you need them. You've even got a little cutout so you can run the lines down but have the locker closed. And over on this side, another really simple but very functional idea. Under this one, this has got auto reel for the shore power cable, something you see on really big expensive boats. Often doesn't happen on boats of this size, but that means again you have to disconnect the shore power cable, take it with you every time. It's always there on board, which is really nice. The only thing I'd say is if you're playing around with this, you're going to want this to be held open with something. On both sides they just drop down at the moment, but I must confess this is still technically a prototype. So there are quite a few little things here and there that Marex say they're going to improve. No doubt they will, and that is probably one of them. Right, let's enter the cockpit. Well, the cockpit feels very familiar Marex. It's practical again from the off. Things like having cup holders or sunglass storage built into the cushions, these rails that run all the way around, beautiful woodwork as well throughout all the way along the side decks. These rails as well, they're absolutely gorgeous. You're very well protected, but you also have this canvas roof so you can pull that back and get this area exposed to the weather. And of course the Marex canopy curtains that stow in here pull all the way around, and within a minute or so you are fully protected. Now for the moment this is going to run alongside the 375. It's the same length, slightly wider. You gain this sofa and storage on the starboard side. And considering the fact you have this lovely big cockpit space and you get the walk around side decks too, you can see where that extra beam is being put into practice. And it's just a very versatile, usable space. What they also have is the benefit of they're getting to the refinement stage now. They know this formula works. So it's little things like talking to customers who probably said, it would be nice if you could see through the transom and you're coming in stern to, berthing from the helm. Well, look, there's a little patch of glass down there now, so you should be able to see from the helm down through the bathing platform and over to the pontoon. You've got all this storage underneath all these sofas, and look at this. And it's not just the size of the storage, it's how easy it is to get to. One hand, pull that up, 2 gas rams, it's all lovely and smooth, nicely finished, but really, really deep. This actually now drops down below deck levels. You can store loads of stuff in there. Of course, the engine room is beneath my feet as well. We're going to go in there at the end of the video, so stick around. If you want to see the machinery spaces, of course, the table opens up. Another beautiful wooden table. You know, Marex, really hot on their woodwork. No different on this. And bearing in mind, this is the first one, hull number 1. It does look and feel really nicely sorted already. And of course, the benefit you have is you can close this area off and separate this internal saloon space and that cockpit area. But what you also have is this now. Now, most things on Marex's are manual. The roofs, the sliding door, they've gone for a button there. It does take a little while, but at least it's one touch. And then when it drops all the way down, you have this really nice connection between the two areas. Of course, there are no cooking facilities on deck, but you have the galley here on the starboard side, packed with storage. You can see this whole run down here is just really useful little drawers at various depths. 2 huge, I say huge, it is a 12-meter boat. So, you know, in context, these are nice big fridges to have. 1, 2 is standard, a third one down here as an option. So you're really not short of cooling space. Induction cooking, you've had the generator, you can have induction cooking. As standard, you can have gas if you want, but you have this option if you prefer. You've also got solar panels as an option on top too, so they're feeding the domestic battery, keeping things topped up when the sun's shining. You've got a nice big sink too, which splits. So you've got this split cover for it as well. And then you've got the oven tucked down here underneath the helm seat. And again, this feels quite familiar, but it all just works really well. So you can swing this stool out to add an extra perch opposite the table. The table folds in. It also drops down to create a berth, so you can sleep 2 more people. You can also make that into a sun pad out there as well. Open the roof, put some cushions in, you've got another big sun pad out there. And then this is clever. So this is a 2-way seat, we're quite used to this. But again, when you're moving along, because you've only got a single helm seat, having this double navigator seat is really nice. You can sit up here, enjoy the ride. And they had a similar thing to this on the 440. It was a little bit more of a complex system. It split in 2 and then opened out. This is just really simple. A nice wooden platform that you can pop out. You can put drinks on there. You can put charts on there, laptop, iPad, that sort of thing. And then you can just pop it down again if you don't want to use it. Of course, you've got a sunroof here as well. This one's GRP, so it's a little bit heavier. I would just say it requires quite a lot of strength to get it moving. But then when it does, it slides pretty nicely, and you can pin it in various places. But yes, it takes quite a lot of brute force to get that moving. The other thing you don't have is 2 side doors. But again, like the hydraulic bathing platform, they've got to incentivize you to buy the 440 for some reason. If you want 2 side doors, buy a 440. You have got one on the starboard side though. Let's pop out there and have a look on deck. The side door just helps so much with the general flow of the boat, but if you're crewing, and often this will be run by 2 people, maybe 1 person, to get onto deck so easily is really nice. There's no actual boarding gate here because you're very high up, so that restricts its use really if you were to have a gate here, but you've got this cutout so you can at least step off and down to the pontoon a bit more easily. And it just reeks of quality up here, from the stainless steel as you work your way forward to the beautiful woodwork, the cappings on the bulwark here, the teak as it runs forward, the handholds. It is lovely. Practical too, of course. Under here you've got your water filler. Even though it's just water, it's all drained out in a separate compartment on a gas ram. But even these little things are just so nicely executed. The things that you interact with and you come into touch with day to day just feel really good. Now this is relatively simple up here, but they have jazzed it up a little bit. This has got the floating cushion that they introduced on the 440. So you can lob this in the water and it will float off the back of the boat and become a bit of a lilo for you. And you can just pin it back down here and actually use it on board the boat. Obviously there's a cutout here because there's a hatch for the cabin below to give you some light and some ventilation. Really nice flat space this. This boat hails from Norway, or design-wise anyway, and they get onto islands a lot from the bow, so this has got to be a really flat, usable area, and it is, hence why you've got this nice big gap between the railings. The anchor locker pops up this way, but then before you get down to the anchor, you've got this ladder, again, to ease access on and off the boat from the bow, and then a really, really deep anchor locker. And ordinarily I complain because the chain isn't separated, so you can't really put lines and fenders in there without worrying about the rope showing up into the windlass. But there's so much storage back there for fenders and lines, I don't think you'll ever bother putting them up here. So just having a nice big anchor locker is really quite handy. And then it all just folds away. You know, there's no danger of you catching your feet on the windlass or any of the anchoring equipment. The cleats are obviously outboard. It's a really nice, easy, safe space to move around. All right, before we fire up and see what you'd like to drive, should we go and have a look at the cabins? Well, we had to fly the drone while the light was still good, so you see it's got a bit darker in here, but no bad thing. We're in the cabins, the lights are on, it's nice and cozy. In terms of the layout, of course, this is another area where it's pretty different from the 440. No 3 cabin option on this. We've got 2 cabins. There's a double here, amidships. There's a double, probably owner's cabin forward. And then here you have a bathroom, which is big enough to have a pretty nice separate shower cubicle. Really nicely finished in there as well. But we're going to start amidships, I think. This lobby area is great. Of course, they know that headroom's going to be compromised in this cabin because it's got to run underneath the cockpit. So they've really tried to make this space as big as possible, because this is where you're going to get changed. This is where you're going to be moving past each other. So it's working pretty hard, but it works well. And one of the key things is they've got this nice light well. We're not getting much now because it's getting quite dark, but in the day, this draws in loads of natural light, so it makes it feel even more spacious. As does the big mirror over there. There's a mirror over here as well. So they're using all these techniques to make this space feel big. And look at this for storage. Huge wide drawers. They are absolutely enormous. You've got 3 of them as well. Hanging storage behind the door. There is an option to have another little seat here, but personally I think having this amount of storage is going to be really popular. And well, you've got a sofa down here. You concede, you're sitting down here, you've got to watch your heads on these things. You're going into the bed, it'd be really easy to hit your head on those, but at least they've sort of rounded them off, so if you do, it's not too painful. Huge bed, a 2 meter by 2 meter bed. That's a really nice size. Of course, you've got to crawl into it, but there's enough space you can move around each other in the night without sort of one person disturbing the other. There's a whole window up there as well. You've got reading lights and repeater lights for the main cabin lights. Nothing more annoying than being all tucked up in bed in a berth like this and having to crawl out to this switch to turn the lights off. So that works well. The sofa, you know, you're not going to be sitting down here really, but it's just somewhere a bit higher to sit down that isn't the bed. You can sit and relax with a book, put your feet up. The other thing, it can extend, so you can drop this down, use the backrest to infill, and you get another sort of kids berth in here as well. So as with on deck, functionality really is very impressive. You've got a porthole here, a porthole over there. There isn't one over on that side, so you can't get a through breeze, which is a bit of a shame. But of course, air conditioning is an option, which if you're keeping the boat in somewhere like the south of France, where we are now, you're going to be using quite a lot. Right, let's head forward at the owner's cabin. Right forward then, the owner's cabin. And again, they've worked to make this space as big as possible. A lot of Marexes, you move into this area and you feel like you're being really pinched by the bed. It's awkward to move around. But here, even with the door open, there's enough space for me to get changed. I've got good access to the storage that's underneath the bed. You don't have to lift the mattress up. You've got drawers here. You've got, again, hang lockers on either side, big mirrors as well. There's a big locker over on this side. This is shelf storage. So there's not only a lot of storage, but a really good variety of storage too. The hull windows are quite big and they extend a long way forward. So again, in the day, natural light is going to be decent, and you've got opening ports. So you can get natural breeze in here and not always rely on the air conditioning. And as I said on deck, you can see that's your escape hatch, but also a skylight, ventilation, natural light coming in, all very helpful. And like in that cabin at the head of the bed, you've got the nice reading lights, again, repeaters for the light switches. There's fiddles over there as well. There isn't enough space to have proper bedside tables, but because they've got edges over on those side, they've got plugs as well for charging. You can put your devices there, and if you leave them there in the water, they're not going to roll around when you're out at the sea, chucking it around like I was a moment ago. It's really nicely done. Right, before we get up to speed, now's a good time to subscribe. Hit subscribe, hit that bell icon. You'll be notified every time we upload a new sea trial like this one. Right, let's get it going. As I said, this boat is about to be launched. We haven't got a huge amount of time before she goes back into the boat show for a premiere. So this really is first impressions. It's the first time opening it up, getting a feel for it. So I'll try and give you as good impressions as I can. Now there are two engine options. Volvo Penta D4-320s, two of them, which is what this boat has got. You can have a pair of Volvo Penta D4-320s. And I've just pinned the throttle. Let's see where we get to. Up to 3,300 RPM here, 27, 28 knots. I've got trim assist on. It's also got Humphrey interceptors, so they're managing the trim. So trim assist is managing the legs. It's stern drive legs. In the future you will be able to have the boat with shafts, but at the moment it's stern drive options. And there, we hit 30 knots on the nose, just over now. And what is remarkable is, as I've said, this is hull number one, is how solid it all feels. There's a little bit of swell here, which is gently romping over it, but the hull is handling it really nicely. There's a lot of glass here. There's these mechanisms above my head, the doors, the roof. No rattling, there's no creaking, there's no slamming. And we're now at full speed. Not many people are going to be travelling along at full speed for a great period of time, so we just pull her back to a more sensible cruising speed, which is probably mid to late 20s. And that probably won't change if you have the 440s. Yes, you'll get a bit more in the top end, nudging up towards 35 knots, I imagine, maybe a bit more. But either way, you're probably going to cruise 25, 26 knots. So when you get to there, we're doing 120 litres per hour. That's across both engines. And that just feels like a really nice place to be, as is this helm station. And because it's only got a single seat, something like the Aquador 400, you have got the multiple person bench. This is all very driver focused. And of course you have got the navigator seat over there as well. So you can have people sitting alongside you, but as the driver, it's all about you. And they've made some nice additions, like having the push button adjustable helm. So that's now come right out to meet me. I can sit back in this chair, got my arms really well supported. Throttle comes nicely to hand. I mean, this is great. This is such a comfortable driving position. Yes, I've got the auto trim on, but I'm, as you can see, sitting back really comfortably, and the view forward is great. Okay, we're not heaving through big waves here, but in this 25 knot cruise, that view forward is excellent. And even though this doesn't bolster, you can push this back and stand up and drive really quite easily. But it feels like to me it's a boat that's designed to drive when you're sitting down. I love the way the screens are slightly angled towards you. It feels quite sporty, but also means you've got a really great clear view of everything. It's simple, it's nice and dark, there's no glare here, but it's really effective. And there's lots of variation when it comes to your ventilation too. Because you've got the roof, we've got the front one open now, nice breeze coming through the top, but you can open this as well and lock it in different positions so you can get some ventilation that way. What about the handling? Well, it's a stern drive boat, so it handles really nicely. It's such a great combination. Twin stern drives. Okay, maybe here you feel like you might want a little bit more power. Obviously, this is not something your typical owner is going to do, but where you might want that extra bit of welly is just to get you out of the big troughs. If you are in a big rolling sea, then having a little bit more power, a little bit more torque to heave you out of those big waves, that's probably where you're going to feel it more, especially if you've got the boat full of kit. After a season where there's a bit of growth on the hull, that is potentially where you're going to feel the benefit of those bigger engines. But day to day, I think these D4s, considering you're saving about 100,000 euros for the upgrade, this is going to suit most people pretty well, I'd say. But the handling is just glorious. And what is really pleasing, yes, Marex, incredibly experienced, high quality boat builders, but hull number one can often feel like hull number one, and it really doesn't. The hull feels great. It's genuinely really fun to drive. Not really, I would imagine, what your typical Marex customer's too worried about. They're worried about the practicality and the safety and the comfort. But there's nothing wrong with having a laugh. And it does raise a smile. It handles brilliantly. It's just nice to know you can do it, you know? They've got this great mechanism. It's a gas ram. So you just push a button and then you use your own weight to push the seat forward, and it springs forward as well. Really simple, no ratchets I have to find, just push a button, you can move the seat. You can obviously move the wheel back in. It takes a bit longer obviously. But you can move that in towards the dash, and then I can stand if you want to. Get your head clear. On a hot day in the Med, you might want to do this, but this is also nice when you go into the marina environment. You can look around really nicely, you can be clear of the windscreen, and you can talk to the crew, of course. If they're up on the bow, then you can stand up and talk to them. The last thing we need to do then is see what it's like around the marina. So let's head inside and do that. Right, no better test of what a boat is like at close quarters than in a boat show, because my God, do they pack them in. And we're in Scandinavia corner here, Axopar to one side, Nimbus the other. But look, you know, this is obviously it's a stern drive boat. You've got the joystick now, so this is all being done on the joystick. This boat has got the bow thruster option, which I'd always opt for, but so far it's very nice and predictable on the joystick here. The position is good, and I'm not even feeling the urge to stand up really, because I've got such a great all-round view from here. The glass on this side drops down a long way, and I can really spot myself on this starboard side, and it just reacts really nicely to my inputs. See, this is the first time I've driven this boat at slow speed. I'm going to tuck it into what is quite a tight little gap over there, but even here I can see my proximity to the pontoon behind us even. There is a camera as well fitted to this boat, looking out over the platform, which I'm not even really using because the view all round is pretty good. Full sideways just to get us a bit closer. You've got the lazy lines here on the other boats as well, so you've got to just watch where the props are in relation to them. But again, I can still see everything nice and clearly. Bit of bow thruster bringing the bow across. Yeah, this is exactly why I like having the bow thrusters. Sometimes you just want that fine adjustment without having to twist the whole boat. But yeah, look, that's a pretty tricky berth. First time I'm doing it. Needed the combination of the joystick and the bow thruster, as sometimes you do. But I haven't moved from my spot here. Says a lot about, you know, what a great position it is. So yeah, very important. As I said, out in the water, type of boat that you're going to drive on your own, 2 people. The fact that I can sit here, communicate and see really easily. Top marks. Right, last thing to do, stick head in the engine room. Engine room access here in the cockpit. There's a nice big hatch and then a ladder down into the space. Well, welcome to my Bikram yoga studio / engine room. It's a bit warm down here, but despite the lack of headroom, meaning I had to sit down here, the insulation is absolutely great. I wouldn't expect to be able to stand up in the engine room of a boat like this, but the crucial thing is you can get to everything and check it all so easily. Of course, the D4s are the smaller engines, so the D6s can take up more space in here, but there's plenty of room for them. But with these, look how much space there is down here. You can put crates here, use it for storage, and because there's nothing in the way, you don't have to worry too much about them sliding around. You can get around the engines pretty easily. You can do your daily checks nicely and easily because everything's sort of towards the front of the space, and all the pipework, all the electrical wiring, everything is absolutely neat as you like. And I come back to it. This is hull number 1. Often there's a few corners cut here and there. Clearly not with the 390. It's great. Of course, you sacrifice headroom. The other thing to mention is, yes, you've got this big hatch here, but you can, if you need to, remove this side too. So if you need really good access, or, you know, God forbid, you take an engine out, that's how you could do it. Day to day though, really pretty good. As you can tell by the fading light, I'm having to come to my conclusions quite quickly here. But the thing about Marex is they've nailed a formula. They're not trying to build the biggest boats. What they want to do is nail the 30 to 50 foot segment. And they have the benefit of just now being able to perfect the formula. There's nothing particularly radical about this model. It's not doing anything particularly differently to other boats in the range. It's just sitting in a section of the range that they haven't serviced before. And what they also have is the benefit of lots of customers giving them feedback all the time. All these little details, this table here, loads of little things are all taken from customer feedback. So if you like this style of boat, if you like what Marex is doing, you're going to like this. It's not the most glamorous, it's not the fastest, it's maybe not the most exciting to look at, but as an all-round package in this sector, it's really pretty hard to beat. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching that exclusive on the Marex 390. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give us a like if you did. And we've toured both versions of this boat's big sister, the 440. I'll put those for you over here. If you'd like to subscribe, you can do that up there. Thanks again for watching. I'm Jack Haines. This is YachtBuyer.